Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Lunch and Learn for the Better Business Summit. We are talking about shoring up your recruitment strategy during and beyond COVID-19. We have a great speaker today. She is having some webcam issues, so unfortunately, we aren't going to see her, but her voice is very engaging. Her name is Christina Broussard. She is the Recruitment Evangelist at Indeed. Welcome, Christina, and thank you for being a part of our Better Business Summit.
Thanks, Luke. I'm really excited to be here with you all. And again, so sorry for my webcam issues. I definitely prefer to have a face that's talking with you, but in case you need that visual representation, this is basically me, although I don't currently have bangs. And as Luke mentioned, really today's session is all about shoring up recruitment strategy during and hopefully we're getting to the beyond COVID-19. So as Luke mentioned, I'm Christina Broussard, a recruitment evangelist with Indeed. And certainly there is no hiding the fact that we're in a strange year, right? Certainly on both sides of the equation when it comes to the job market, things have been challenging for both employers and for job seekers. Of course, employers and many of you on the phone have had these struggles. Maybe you've had to unfortunately furlough or lay off some employees, maybe just shifting how you work, thinking more about safety as employees are interacting with the public, things that we really maybe didn't have to consider pre-pandemic. But job seekers are also feeling some of those challenges as well. Of course, some of them have been subject to furloughs or layoffs. And in addition, they're also making decisions as well. Some of these folks are having, childcare issues and, homeschooling their children and figuring out how that's going to work and family dynamics. And I say all that to say that it's important for us to really have empathy for job seekers during this time, because as challenging as it is for us as employers, just putting on the shoes of the job seeker just for a few moments today and really having some empathy for them can start to really go a long way in the job recruiting process. Because even if we take a look at the Holmes and Ray stress scale, searching for a job and simply changes in your job are hard. They're hard to deal with, and as we can see on the upper side of this chart here, we can see that a lot of the work-related things that might happen and certainly have happened to a lot of candidates and employees this year are stressful. And so how can we as employers start to think about how we can bridge that gap, how we can show how we're caring for our employees and yes, even our candidates as they're researching, as they're figuring out where their next step is going to be and how that fits into their current way of life during this pandemic. So two key things that we're going to focus on today is your job content and your employer brand. So we'll dive into content first. And when I say job content, just to level set with everyone here, job content is that job description. So that thing that we write that it contains all of the responsibilities and what we're looking for from an individual. But there's a lot of factors that go into great job content and certainly some things that you can control and even investigate on your own. So let's connect the world of content to the world around us. So certainly we've been seeing this trend of candidates looking for their next opportunity to include some sort of flexible work arrangement, whether that's complete work from home, whether that's flexible hours or shifts. We've seen this trend globally really come into play over this chart starts in 2015. So over the last 5 years, we've started to see that flexible work really become important to workers today. And it might not be any surprise to see that during COVID and during the year of 2020, we saw that percentage really spike in the end of March of this year. So certainly job seekers are looking now even more so for that remote opportunity. And of course, we could even see maybe there was a little hope around June and July as those searches started to drop off a little bit. But as we can see since July, we've seen more and more job seekers coming to Indeed to look for that remote opportunity. And certainly that's an impact for us as well on the employer side. Thinking about, do we offer this to our employees? Is it a temporary thing? Is it remote but not full-time remote? Maybe it's a couple of days a week. We still need you to come into the office. Big questions that you're having to answer as employers, no matter the size of your business. But understanding that job seekers are really looking for this type of work, could be helpful in us making that decision. Now, if we look at the employer side of the house, we can also see that more and more employers are advertising that they have jobs that meet those flexible remote working arrangements within that job. So as we can see, employers are really responding as well. Very similar, time, we saw towards the end of March on the job seeking side that work from home and remote type of searches started spiking. And we can see the trend starting to go up, within a couple of weeks of that time where employers were responding. So again, as you're thinking about your business and what you're offering to your employees during this time, it's important to make that connection within your job content. So within that job description. So if you offer any sort of flexible work arrangement, again, whether that's remote, temporarily remote, or it is a work from home type of situation, make sure that you're including that within your job posting. Because what that means is on Indeed, when job seekers search for those terms, your job will match up because we're looking for jobs that also have those keywords. So that will certainly help you get that visibility in front of some of the 250 million unique job seekers that are coming to Indeed globally every month to look for their next opportunity. Now, getting a little bit closer to home, 250 million is a unique number. And Christina, I don't need that many people looking at my job. They're not all relevant to me. But even looking more locally, I can see that there were over 1.6 million job seekers just in the Stamford, Connecticut area. So within a 25-mile radius of Stamford, that were clicking and engaging with jobs in Connecticut on Indeed in the month of October. So certainly an exciting opportunity for us to get in front of this many job seekers. But we also really have to think about, well, how do we really stand out? And our job content, again, that job description, truly is, for a lot of us, our first opportunity to show who we are to job seekers. Again, some of us, we're represented a whole host of different sizes of organizations across Connecticut. some job seekers may be very familiar with who you are, but for some, they might be learning about you for the first time when they're finding a job opportunity that you have. And so that first impression that you're making upon that job seeker is, yes, just as important as when a job seeker submits a resume to you, and that's your first impression of them. So there's a lot of things that this job content should do, even beyond those responsibilities and requirements that we might typically think about when we think about our job description. So a couple of things that I want to share with you today as some things that you can take back as you work on your business versus in your business. So make sure for those job titles that they're clear and concise. If you're looking for an administrative assistant, a receptionist, a software engineer, whatever you might be looking for, just be very clear and use that commonly used title. I've worked with a couple of organizations throughout the years, and at one point there was a spike in folks looking for a director of first impressions. Now that sounds really nice, but really at the heart of it, what you're looking for is a receptionist, right? And that is a term that everybody really understands. So sure, once you get them onboarded, once you get that conversation going, let's call them a director of first impressions. But when we're advertising for the job, we want to use really friendly language that makes sense outside of our own walls. And I'd encourage you to keep it to 5 words or less. No sentences. We don't need to go crazy within our job titles. Just be very clear about what the opportunity is. I'd also encourage you, again, like we talked about some of the data that we showed a little bit earlier around remote work from home type of searches. If that is something that you're able to offer your candidates, I would put that into your job title. So including, so let's say the role is software engineer and it's remote or it's work from home. Go ahead and put that into the job title so that those people who are looking for opportunities see that right away. If remote and work from home is not something that you're able to offer, even things like full-time, part-time, if we have any healthcare organizations on here and you have a PRN type of role or a night shift, you can go ahead and put that into that job title as well, just to help those job seekers understand, before they actually click and engage into your jobs. The other thing that I wanted to make sure that we're really thinking about is our job descriptions. And so I would encourage everyone, when you go back after the summit and you're thinking about your takeaways, I'd love for this to be one of your takeaways. Go and look at a couple of your job descriptions and see if you can answer these questions. Does this job description say who I am, what type of organization I am? And I don't just mean, you do roofs, or, you're a dentist office, so we're a dental, facility. But who are you? Meaning, how do you take care of your employees? How do you serve your community? And it just needs to be a couple of quick sentences. It doesn't need to be paragraphs long. But remember that these job seekers are sometimes learning about you for the first time and potentially learning about you from a place that I might work, not a place that I might do business or be a consumer of. So think about it in those terms. Make sure that it's very clear that you're stating who it is that you're looking for. What are those hard skills that you're looking for? What are those soft skills that you're looking for? Teamwork, good communicator, energetic, some of those words that might sound like the type of people that you're looking for. You want to share those within your posting. And then lastly, why you? Why you out of all of those other jobs that exist? Why do they want to be excited to take their career in the next step and direction with you? So make sure that you're showing that off as well. And, certainly an opportunity for us to think about sharing our messages about COVID in our job content. I like to say, think about it in a way that we want to remove the questions from the job seeker, right? We don't want to allow them to say, this sounds great, but what did they do for their employees during COVID, right? I'm not sure that they did anything because they didn't state it. I hear from employers constantly these days that is a top question that job seekers are asking during their interviews is, what did you do for your employees during COVID? Did you give them additional PPE if they have to interact with the public? Did you provide lunch for your local senior living facility to, really thank the essential workers for the work that they've been doing? Or, maybe you started to do, virtual lunches with everyone since you moved to a work from home environment. Those types of things really give candidates the insights as to the type of employer you are, and it shows that empathy, right? You're able to recognize that this is a key area of focus for them and that it's on their mind. The last thing I would say is, again, maybe you're in a situation where, you weren't able to offer a lot of those things, but, maybe one thing that you're doing is for candidates, you are doing virtual interviews, right? You might be using Indeed's virtual interview platform, or maybe even you are doing them on your own and you're not requiring candidates to come face to face immediately. That's even something that you can include within your posting as well. Again, just to address it. You know that it's a challenge and that it's on their mind. It helps to really brand you as an employer as well. Now, one quick thing to make sure that you all are aware of what you can do to make sure that your job, once it looks really great, it's got all of that great, those questions answered and how you've addressed COVID. Certainly, when you sponsor your job on Indeed, we've seen quite an impact for employers. And particularly for small businesses, it really helps level the playing field between you and, larger organizations that might have big recruiting teams or, larger budgets. That opportunity to really add that sponsorship and bid for clicks can help you really stand out and get in front of the right types of job seekers and show them the opportunities that you have. And, we've seen that really even impact down to the hire. Certainly as more people see our opportunity and are compelled to apply, the more likely that there is to be the right candidate in that pile. Now, one thing that I know is on your mind, I've heard from the team is, okay, so unemployment is a little bit higher now. So how do I really weed through the candidates that I have? And also really assess those that, maybe a little bit less likely to ghost me. Well, I certainly can't guarantee that, but it's definitely something that we're working on at Indeed. And one thing that is really a good opportunity, when you sponsor your jobs on Indeed, you can add an assessment. This is free, nothing that you need to spend additional money on. But what I love about the assessments is that if you are seeing a bunch of unqualified candidates, especially if it's in a large number, the assessment can do two things for you. One, it maybe can discourage people that, don't want to take that additional step. So if you do have an extremely large pool of candidates that you're trying to whittle down, then an assessment does certainly make the process a little bit longer for that candidate to complete their application. But the other thing that it does is that it allows you to really see who is strong in a certain area. The assessments really vary in the types that are available. My favorites are around those soft skills. things that you can't necessarily see on a resume. We can see even this one that is highlighted here, attention to detail, critical thinking. Seeing that and knowing that information ahead of time can certainly help you as an employer, especially if you're wearing a lot of hats and recruiting is not the only thing that you do, that can help you identify the candidates maybe that you want to reach out to first, because this assessment shows that they have the skills that it is that you are really highly valuing. So the next piece that I want to talk about and make sure that we have some good tangible takeaways on is our employer brand. So when we think about our employer brand, it's more than just a logo. It's more than just a tagline. It's really, what are we doing for our employees? What is it like to work at our organization? What do our employees like? And why do they stay? One of the things that we have learned at Indeed from job seekers is that they really care about learning what it's like to work at that organization as they're deciding where their next opportunity is going to be. So, as we think about, back in 2019, when we could go to things like restaurants and movies, and we'd spend time looking through reviews of the new restaurant or the new movie that just came out, before we really committed that 2 hours of our Friday night, we would look through reviews. Now, job seekers, of course, are making a much bigger commitment than just those 2 hours, right? They're committing maybe 8 hours a day plus, right? And so it's important for them to really understand the experience that other employees have had and, make the decision for themselves based on that information. Is this a place where I feel like I belong? A place where I feel like I can do my best work, and a place that I want to spend 8 hours a day with? So what's really exciting on Indeed, and this is one of the takeaways that I want everybody to write down and double check after we get off the call or after the summit is over, is I want to make sure that you have claimed your company page on Indeed. So when you go to Indeed.com, up at the upper left-hand side corner, there is a link for company reviews. You'll click on that, do a quick search for your company name, and then what I want you to do is go to this Why Join Us tab that's highlighted here underlined in blue, and then over here in this orange box, it says Claim This Company Page. If you see it says Claim This Company Page, just click that link. Super simple, but it allows you now as an employer to really tell your story and use this as a platform to share what it is that you stand for, who you are, and then all of your jobs will be linked to this company page as well. Now, if you don't see your company, that just means that we haven't had a job posting that has that exact company name. So once you've posted that job, then you will have a company page on Indeed that you'll be able to claim and tell your story. So this is an example of Indeed's company page. And you can see on this Why Join Us page that we can share who it is, what's important to us, and what we want candidates to know before they apply, before they interview, before they accept an offer with us, what is really important to us at Indeed. And you can do this all for free within your Indeed company page. So it's free. That's why I want to make sure that everybody can go back and double check that they have claimed their Indeed company page. And if you've claimed it, make sure this Why Join Us page has photos, has images, and that sort of thing. So job seekers can use that in their learning about you during that decision process. And of course, as we've been talking about with COVID, it's also an opportunity for us to showcase some of these examples that we've been talking about. So what did we do for our communities? What did we do for our employees? What did we do for just as an employer, for our customers? And sharing this information on our Indeed company page is another way to really further your brand and share to the community, to those who are curious about you as an employer, really show who you are. So it's definitely an opportunity that I don't want you all to not take advantage of, especially when it is no cost. I wanted to share 2 additional resources that Indeed has, again, free, Hiring Lab and Lead with Indeed. Hiring Lab is run by our team of economists. We have economists globally, and of course, there's probably about 3 or 4 that focus on the US in particular. So if you're interested in staying on top of the economy and the impact on the labor markets, Hiring Lab is a great place for you to go. Lead with Indeed, I want to have a special plug for this, especially for those of you who recruiting is just one of the many hats that you wear. Great way for you to stay on top of what is important to talent and what is going on in recruiting so that you can keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on. Both of these have, email, distros that you can sign up for, and it's not gonna blow up your inbox for sure. The last thing that I wanted to mention, and I'll turn it over for Q&A, is the partnership that Indeed has with the Better Business Bureau. If you have not yet posted a job with us, there is an opportunity for you as a Better Business Bureau partner, accredited partner, to receive a $200 sponsored job credit. So helping you get that boost of visibility on Indeed to help you find the right people for your job. I would encourage you to go directly to this link. That's indeed.com/partner/BBB. That has a link that you'll need to click on in order to get started so that credit is applied. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over for some questions.
Hi, Christina. We do have one question from Joe.
Okay.
Can the company page be displayed if there are no reviews?
Yes, there should be. So you don't need to have a review, and it can also be displayed when there are no jobs, but there has to have been a job posted on Indeed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't see any other questions as of yet.
Okay, awesome. Well, I hope that this has been helpful and insightful for you all. Oh, more questions?
Wait a minute, we got one more question.
Okay, sure.
Can you respond to negative reviews?
Yes, great question. So one of the things that that we have learned through our research is that job seekers really like to see that engagement from the employer. You can respond to both negative reviews and positive reviews within your company page. It's just right there within the interface. If you go to your reviews tab and you're logged in as an admin of that page, then you'll be able to respond to the reviews and it'll show up right underneath each of the reviews. Other thing just to understand is that that's not it doesn't open up a conversation with that person. It's if you respond, everything's done. I would encourage you all to take advantage of that, particularly if there are negative reviews, as you mentioned, but also too, even if there are reviews from a particular job title that you're really in need of, say a sales representative, you hire a lot of sales representatives. Maybe I just want to look at my sales representative reviews and reply to those. I always say you don't have to boil the ocean. You don't have to do everything, especially if you've got a lot of reviews to sift through. Pick the most important ones and get those responses out there. It will go a long way for job seekers.
Great. Thank you. That was the last of our questions.
Okay, awesome. Well, I really appreciate the invitation to be here with you all today. I hope it was helpful and insightful, and look forward to seeing all those claimed company pages up in Connecticut today.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Christina, so much. And everybody, be sure to check out our event sponsors by clicking the sponsors tab on our event site, which is betterbusinesssummit.com. You can also register for other upcoming breakouts, including our next session with Zach Basner, and he's going to be covering the 7 simple videos that radically shorten your sales cycle. That is at 1 p.m. And again, thank you, Christina, so much for joining us, and we will see you then.